Hello Internet, it's your boy Mike White, and I'm back with another tutorial. And I wanted to talk today about cutting something off a black background. So I'm not going to do an extensive, here's how exactly I do it. I'm just going to talk theory with you for a second. We have an image, this is, I think, a very compelling image, but it's mostly black. And the image itself is black, and it's stuck on this black background, well, black and green. And we know that we need to create something that's going to, still compel the viewer and capture the essence of this. But we can't, just remove all the black, because gosh, what if you want to put this on any other color other than black? So we have to make a lot of decisions. And I'm going to give you a quick example of those decisions. So I'm tracing with my pen tool right now, and I'm making decisions on these curves, and they're minute, and it might not seem like it matters, but with really fine detail like these hairs, you can see that it just makes, it's going to make a lot of difference to the shape. So, deciding where to end is the most difficult and important part. So, for instance, this hair right here, you don't want to follow all the way up in there and make it look cut out, because that's just the shading of the hair. And you can see I'm staying off the edge. I'm not following the edge. I'm right drawing my own line and deciding where to stop. So, I'm deciding that that's still part of the shadow of this on this lock, and that I'm going to stop it right there and not try to go up in here, because this is still, just the mass of the hair. So there's a lot of, scaling in and out and taking a look. Here, I decided this, stopped here, but we just continue the shape on and cut it out of the black, and that should just merge right through there. And we paint little sections in when we need to. This is a perfect example. So let's look over here at this one that's not been done, because it's easy to look at the one where the decisions have been made and see. You can see where you would kind of come along here, and you got to keep the black. And then maybe you could let this lay down and then come back up. And the shape of hair is so important to follow. And then when we get up here to the, main bulk, we're just going to have to decide, let's cut that out, and then let's stop and leave this. Now, I also have the challenge of trying to make the transfer, as light and airy as possible. So I want to take as much as I can. So now that I look at this, I'm going to probably take all the way through here and follow these curves, and then stop there and leave that. That's where I'm going to stop. And I'm still going to have a pretty thick space here where there's no design. And where there's no air, no gaps in the design to make it soft. Check out my really cool skull head I already added in here. So, we're working on it, and I hope that helps you understand, cutting something out of black and, the artistry that you need to put into that. Okay, so I have made some massive progress, and I thought I'd just pop back in and show you guys, where I'm at. So I'm coming up the left-hand side of the hair, and we've transitioned from cutting off of a dark background and having to make up where the black is to being able to actually see it. And so at this point, I'm just following the thick and thin flow of the line, and just, trying to make sure that that stays pretty, or influence it if I can, if it's not pretty. So, remember that. This is your artwork. You're taking control over it. You don't have to follow what's there. And I've made a ton of those kinds of decisions, like, we have these weird follicles just sticking out of nowhere, and I just ignored them, just went right past them because I don't think they look good. So, we're defining the line and making it up as we go, and you can kind of just see how I make decisions. I'm just looking along the edge. I'm trying to find the edge, find my edge. And this is a challenging drawing. I mean, this is not something that I would start out for beginners. I'm not just expecting people to be able to do this. But there are, if you're already pretty advanced and you're comfortable with paths and drawing paths, then you absolutely can. And I hope that seeing like an extreme example like this one isn't scary. It's actually just like, oh, well, if we can do that there, we can do anything. Let's just go for it. That's the takeaway is like, don't look at this difficult one. I'm using it as an example, but this applies in really simple circumstances all the time, just where to put black. So just to give you a quick overview of all the decisions, there they are. You can kind of see, what I'm looking at is the shape of the hair, and I decided not to get up in here. I still can go back and do that, but I've just left that alone because, the first cut, like I'm not going to worry about doing this inside. I'm just doing the outer cut, and I'm about to get to a real easy part through here, and then this is going to get very difficult back down around this side. So, really probably 3/4 done. Okay, so I wanted to show you another little piece. So my dad is who taught me how to draw, of course, and he would call this a lost edge. So at this point, the edge is lost, and you can see I've just rounded it off. I mean, we can't have a lost edge in here because we're not fading to a background, and it's really nice to use a technique like this, to use a technique like that in your artwork. But we don't have that luxury because of what we're doing here. We're making this hard. We're finding the edge. We have to force the lost edge. So you can tell the main direction of light is where we are. So I've been working really hard to keep, a very thin line. I mean, just to show you how close I get and look at this, I'm keeping a line to define an edge. But now, I'm going to go right up on it because, this would be the very least amount of edge, in the drawing. I'm not going to get this tight really anywhere else. This is the very brightest spot. So I just want this to just literally stop right on the edge of the color. So you need to be, taking stock of where you are in the drawing. And I want to point that out. You have to zoom out, see where you are, see if it makes sense. And then, come in real tight and just work away. I actually like to be able to see, just the slight blur of some pixelization because it helps me refine where my edge should be. I don't have a clear path to follow at this point. I'm choosing it. And I just wanted to point out that when you get to the tips, you have to make more, you have to put more nodes. So, you're always going to use more nodes, and there's always going to be some funny decisions to do at the tip. And on the back side, where I was drawing the tip, I was actually making them a lot sharper than I am on this side. And I'm just letting it try to go off to almost nothing and eliminate that line. And I wanted to also tell you that when you're pulling your vertices, I try to just charge forward, and I try to not go back and adjust as much as possible because I've just found that it slows me down immensely, and it's kind of an endless tweaking. The more that you look at it, the more you notice. And so I just constantly have my hand on the control key and the Z key so that I can hit Control Z at any moment, and you can see what I do there. I just kind of constantly am hitting Control Z, and I am just moving forward. Like, I'm not real happy with that one that I just placed, but I'm going to try to fix it with the next one. That's the way I go. And as we get further from the tip and deal with a broader angle, we can spread out our nodes Now, if you have a lot of changes in direction, then of course you got to tighten them up. So I'm not real comfortable with how to move my interface around. If anybody's got any tips for that, I'd love to hear them. I think there's probably a command or a key to like switch back and forth between the tool that you're using and the hand tool. That's what I really need, and I just haven't ever taken the time to look it up, and I'm going to do that, hopefully, since I'm talking about it. But what I'm always doing is just moving around with this bottom and scrolling, and that's how I navigate the document, which is definitely not efficient, but it's something that I've just like, muscle memoried for so long that I don't have any problems with it. So there's a decision. You can see that, just in the line. I just thought I'd do a little more of this now that I've been doing this for a while. I'm kind of in the groove. I've learned the image, and I've made decisions in the past at this point that I'm trying to stay consistent to. So here's a great little, thing. I mean, I'm not going to include that, so I'm just going to go right past it like it doesn't exist. And then later, as I look at the overall, I'm going to cut it off pretty close. Then I can look and see if I need to like come in and actually paint that. But I don't want to worry with that right now. That's the step after this one is, assessing how we cut it out. All right. Okay, so now we have our outer shape done, and it's time to go in and take care of all the areas inside. So I'm just going to create a new shape for each one of those. And I have my pen tool, just set to shape with no fill and no stroke. And so I'm just literally going to start clicking in this area, and it's going to create a new shape. Like watch, over in the layers panel, I'm just going to start right here, and I'll just pick, start right up here in the corner, and you should have seen in the layers panel now I've got shape 2. So that's how you get the inside parts. Okay, so we have the entire mask done. So I've just cut out this last part, and I'm ready for it to be done. Let me tell you, that's just the way this goes. So I'm hitting Control D. I'm going to, Control click this main shape layer down here, and then I'm going to hold Control and Alt and click all the interior ones. So I don't know if if you'll see those very well, but I just, roll up and click all my shapes that I have created. So everything is selected, and now I'm going to do Control Shift I, which inverts the selection and goes to the outside. So I've just decided to cut outside the lines, and I'm going to convert this to a smart object, duplicate it, rasterize it again. I should have just duplicated and then converted. Turn this one off, and then just hit the delete key. And there's my chop. Oh, it's so nice to see, after you've been working on something like this for quite some time. This is the pleasure moment. Like, just take a second and take pleasure in what you did. And yeah, I'm not coming up any deeper in here. This is exactly the way he's going to be. All right, so now let's judge it. And we're just going to do that by, select this bottom layer and just put a solid color. I'm going to put a solid color of black and just take a look. I know we just fought to get him off the black, and now we're putting him back on. But we're just looking for anything that's lighting up to us and where the lighting doesn't look right. All this looks great. And so we'll just change that over to white. See if there's anything else, and usually I zoom way in and just analyze real closely. Yeah, I'm fine with these edges. Yeah, I'm real happy with the way some of this turned out, where there was just nothing. Obviously I'm proudest of the parts where I worked the hardest. Okay, ahoy! Have a great day. I hope you learned something. Take care.